What is going on, YouTube? It is Nether back again, and today we're talking about a somewhat of a DPS tier list that I want to do, being like my top 5 DPS units in the game currently. This is only personal preference. I know that a lot of people are going to be like, well, hey, you can't say that because this character does this or this character does that. Look, this is only personal preference, okay? If you have a disagreement with it, by all means, put it in the comments and, start a discussion about it. That's all. This is for early game players, mid game players, a little bit of end game players. But, what I think being the top 5 DPS characters in the game. So we'll go ahead and start off with my number 5 or an honorable mention. I do have Noir here. I think that Noir is also obviously like very good. The only downside with Noir really is that you have to have Blanc. If you don't have Blanc, Noir can't reach her full maximum capabilities, which is unfortunate. But Noir obviously is like, she's a very capable unit. So we'll go ahead and drop her back here. Not Red Hood, that's awkward. Summer Anise. I think Anise is obviously a very, very good character. Again, another downside is that she was a limited time unit. And most likely will not be coming back, which is, criminally unfortunate because she's a very good unit. She is categorized as a supporter right here, but she really isn't. She's a DPS character in a supporter disguise. Being probably the best limited time character we've ever gotten in NIKKE. I think by quite a large margin. So I would say Anise is my other character that just barely missed out. You can make an argument though for the very next character, that being Snow White. Snow White is very good. I think the only downside with Snow White is the fact that when she goes into her full burst, that her assault rifle becomes a sniper, which is something I personally don't like, but I can't take away the fact of how much damage that she is still doing. Look at the percentages that she does. 144.73 of final attack as damage as her skill 2, and then her burst skill, the 7 dwarves, is, she changes her weapon. Again, she changes it into a sniper. Her charge time is 5 seconds, and she does nearly 500% of final attack. She also gives herself a 1000% damage boost at full charge. Max ammo capacity is 1 round, and it is Pierce. So she's good. Don't get me wrong. She's a pilgrim unit, obviously, but she's still very, very strong, and I think very capable still, even with today's so-called meta. If you really want to follow just meta instead of just characters you want to use, so Snow White is right there. Next up might be controversial if it hasn't already been. I'm putting Scarlet next. Scarlet, the queen herself. One of the, if I remember correctly, the OG pilgrim. She never got her own banner. Same with Snow White, actually. But Scarlet has been a DPS monster for so long. It says assault rifle, but she really uses her sword, which is freaking sick, by the way. So she affects the attacker, 30% chance of casting one effect. She deals 138.24% of her final attack as damage. She also boosts her critical damage when she falls below 60%. But honestly, with today's characters and the type of characters coming out with healing, it's becoming a little bit more difficult with easier content. Obviously, once you get to the harder content, she still is able to hit that point and get that critical damage boost. Her burst skill though is freaking insane. It's like one giant swipe, and look at this percentage, almost 850% of her final attack as damage to everyone. It's an AoE. So very good for mobs, very good for bosses with a lot of pieces. Just a very, very strong unit. But I do think the characters above her are honestly rightfully so above her. Next up, we got Red Hood. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be, why are you putting her above Scarlet? What are you thinking? She is mid. And to everyone who says that, I'm just going to say she's not mid at by any stretch. She is still very, very strong. She is capable of out damaging Scarlet because of her unique ability to do AoE piercing damage to everyone. And once you get to her actual burst, it's insane because she does a little under 30% final attack multiplier in its stacks. So it's very strong. She's able to do a 1, 2, 3 burst. You might want to use burst 1 if you want absolute maximum damage for her, and then skip burst 2 because you don't need that. Get to burst 3, use that, and then she just does stupid damage. Whenever I have her and Scarlet on the same team, I always have Scarlet's burst go first, and it does a stupid amount of damage. But once Red Hood starts just using her bursts, it's crazy how quickly and how fast she like just goes past Scarlet in terms of raw damage. It's ridiculous. And then you pair her up with Tia, Naga, and Dorothy if you're going up against a boss with multiple pieces. With that AoE pierce, it is stupid. And then you want Maxwell as two to really get the absolute utmost damage capable with Red Hood, because Maxwell is going to be bursting or boosting the iron units, as well as giving a charge time cooldown or increased charge time for her sniper rifle, so she is able to fire off more damage. So it is crazy, but Red Hood I think is better than Scarlet. Next up, we actually have Modernia. Now, Modernia is also very strong. The one character in the game where if you get to her burst, you just say, all right, phone down or keyboard and mouse away, and she just annihilates everything on the screen because she has the auto attack feature for her burst. Obviously, she has a minigun. The minigun actually helps because as she is continually attacking, look at this, her fire rate status goes up by 10 or for 10 seconds, almost 30%. So it's freaking nutty. She has also unlimited ammo during her burst. Just anything within like a I think it's a red circle, she just instantly attacks and it's melted away. She's very good for mobs, so very early game friendly. Once you get to like the single target units, she falls off a little bit, but it's still just stupid how much damage she is capable of doing. So I do think Modernia is probably the second best DPS in the game. I do think that at this point she is better than Scarlet. Red Hood, if we get certain characters in the future who benefit Red Hood more and more, then I do see Red Hood possibly, like very slightly maybe overtaking Modernia, but not the first slot, because the first one is Alice. And Alice is not a Pilgrim unit, but she's a Pilgrim unit in disguise. If you have her maxed all the way, if you have the absolute Unga Boonga overload equipment on her, she is the best DPS by a gap. And I mean a gap. It is ridiculous. I mean, look at the burst just by itself. She is boosting her charge speed by 80% for 10 seconds, also increasing attack by 55% for 10 seconds. When she's above 80% HP, she gains a continuous pierce, which is fantastic. And then when she falls below 80%, she recovers her HP by 8.12% of attack damage. So you're so trying to slowly crawl back up to 8% to gain that pierce. Her normal attack is just a 1.5 charge. So, once you get the charge speed up, it's stupid damage. First skill is charge speed also up when you enter the final burst. You also gain 7%, but that's just that. All right, that's not even the whole you increase your stats with core and max limit break, also overload equipment, being able to further increase the amount of charge speed, pierce damage, the amount of crit damage, the amount of attack stat. Alice is easily the number one DPS unit still in the game. And I know I mentioned in my prior video about how Red Hood isn't mid, but Sky has a video up where he spent, I think his stream was like 12 hours long, discussing Alice, and like he went over his stats for her, and it was absurd. Um, she was like close to the same gear set as Red Hood. Granted, Alice was MLB 7, Red Hood only was 3 stars, and I think for 1. Alice was doing like 7 mil, like not 7 million, that's an overestimation. But like 700k to 2 million more damage just casually on auto, because Alice is also better as a manual unit. He had Alice on auto still doing that much more damage. If it was a manual Alice, you could have been looking at like maybe 3 to possibly 4 million more damage. So this is the top 5, I do believe. You know, if you really want to make an argument for a couple characters, by all means, go ahead. I'm not going to stop you. This is just my opinion. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be all for me, guys. I hope you enjoy, and I'll see you all within the next video.